Kick and chase by Mullins. Kick and chase again by Mullins. It'll be a miracle. Oh, it is a miracle. Fafita tries to crash his way over. He does. Fafita got the ball over the line.
Hunter's kick is over the sideline for a 40-20.
Yeah, g'day champions and welcome to 40-20 Sports. We are back in 2025 to talk about everything rugby league and NRL supercoach related stuff. Unfortunately last year had to call it quits about round 15. We got stuck into a bit of work related issues and there was just no time to be able to do the podcast and keep on top of stuff with Instagram and whatnot. So we ended up pulling the pin on that. Hopefully this year I've sorted a bit of stuff out with work and we should get a lot more time to be able to run through this, have a lot more time on the podcast and whatnot, and hopefully we'll be able to do this throughout the whole entirety of the season because I was absolutely loving it. I was loving all the feedback from people and interacting with people about this. So we did run a competition, the 40-20 Cup. I know it was just an overall standing sort of thing, but the coach, Jack of Dewey Get a Bag, ripping name, old son, 25th overall, and you got first in the 40-20 Cup. So as promised, we did have a merch pack for that competition, and the winner, Jack of the Dewey Get a Bags, reach out to us, mate, on our socials. You can comment on here if you can, or best to get us on Instagram would be better. We've got a merch pack coming your way, mate, so congratulations. We will again be running a competition for the season. I'm going to do something a little bit different. I think first place overall winner is a bit rough. So we're going to try and do first three, third, second, first, all get something to walk away with, and we'll touch on that a little bit later. Talking about our season that was for last year, look, we did really, really well. Ended up getting the chockies for all our head-to-heads and whatnot, so that was really important for us. That is sort of what we strive where we do like playing overall, but mostly I'm a head-to-head sort of guy, playing a big cash competition. Well, not big, but big enough cash competition, and we end up getting the chockies in that, so had to shift our focus a little bit throughout the year with what we sort of wanted our end goal to be. But anyway, round 15 is when we finished up the podcast and we stopped doing it. We were ranked 279th. We got down to as low as 53rd overall in round 12. So, yeah, round 18, we were still sitting in 746, which was pretty good. I was pretty happy with it, but it sort of went away from us. Round 20, we were 976. I sort of made a bit of an effort to more keep aligning with the head-to-head sort of stuff because it was looking like I wasn't going to get any prize money off this thing. I was clutching at straws to keep in the top 1,000. So I've shifted all my focus onto head-to-head, made minimal trades as much as I could. So I had 2 trades each for the semi-final and the grand final there for my head-to-heads. Ended up using them there, got the chockies with that, ended up walking away with a good couple of $100 out of that, which was really good. Ended up 2,200th overall, so still top 1%, but we sort of shifted our focus on things throughout the year, as most people will do. You know, round 26 we were sitting 1,400th, which is still respectable score. 27 had no trades at all, so ended up with 2,200th. So yeah, like I said, still in the top 1%, still a decent year, but yeah, that's how we sort of worked our way around and navigated through the year. All right, we're going to do a little bit of a reveal of basically what our team looks like. This is in between the crazy period of Christmas and New Year's, so anything could happen to the start of the season. This is just a basis for people to get a bit of an idea of what they want their team to look like and a bit of a starting point. Got a few examples of who I've got here, who I think will start, who probably won't start. But yeah, we'll run through that. We'll go through it positional-wise, and we'll go a bit about how I've sort of positioned my team for the very, very start of the year. So in the hooker position, I've gone extremely light. Last year, I went Harry Grant. He paid 0 dividends in that position at all. I didn't even finish the season with him. I finished with Damien Cook. So I've got no love for hooker position this year. So I am running Peter Mamazelis. He is 302K. Last year, he averaged 1.1 points per minute. So I'm not surprised if he won't get the 80 minutes, but if he can bang out 60 minutes, average around 50 or 60, he'll be good cash gen. Only played the 4 games where he got over 55 minutes and he averaged 60 points for those. So we'll be sort of looking at those sort of points for him. Yeah, look, I'm just happy to run him as the number one hooker because I don't think there's much upside in that position at all. Sandon Smith at 237k, he will be the backup hooker for us. Pricey just picks himself. He's going to be starting 5'8" with the injuries that the Chooks have got there. Yeah, look, he's a slam dunk. He'll be in most teams, so I can't go past old Sandon Smith. In the front row, usually in the front row, I go very cheap, but this year I sort of am swayed into paying up a little bit more than I usually would, but I think the value is there. Terrell May at 597k, he's my first picked front row forward, as I'm sure a lot of people will have. He's got let go from the Roosters. I'm not really sure what was happening there. They're saying it was not, performance-based or off-field based at all. So I'm not sure what's going on there. He'll no doubt be the lead man at the Tigers. He could average about 55 minutes a night. Whether he can do that week in, week out is a different story, but I can see his minutes getting up around 55 minutes. Look, he's played 80 minutes before, so if he does get that sort of opportunity, he could be anything there in that bloody position in front row forward. Played 11 games where he got over 50 minutes and averaged 80 points in those games. So he is an out-and-out superstar if he can keep those numbers up. And with the forward pack that they have there at the Tigers, I think he'll do well. Tino Fa'asuamaleaui at 531k, massive discount. I think everyone will own him off the basis of his pedigree that he's got there in Supercoach. He's dual. Started last year at 791k, so a huge discount, a lot bigger than what most people were thinking. I thought he'd be up around 600-something k, but at 531, he picks himself. The big one there is they signed Regan Campbell-Gillard. They have Mo Fotuaika, Jamin Jolliffe there in the front row. Aaron Clark's been let go, and Randall has been playing in the lock position. I'm hoping that Tino gets put into that lock position. If he does, he'll get bigger minutes. He'll get more involvement attacking-wise. He won't just be that hit-up. He's a try-scoring machine anyway at front row. So I think if he can get the 13, he'll turn into an absolute beast. Royce Hunt at 249k is on the bench. Look, I'm not overly keen on him. He's had very limited minutes there at the Sharks last year, but he did average 1.1 minutes per game. So if he can get up around that 35 to 40 minutes a game, I'm not really expecting too much out of him. Just a little bit of cash gen would be lovely from him. Cody Hopwood, he is from the Knights, 198k, bottom dollar, front row forward. Basically, I will be picking a bottom dollar front row forward just because I've spent a little bit more than what I usually would in the front row. Look, he's a bit of a placeholder. I don't expect him to start the year in the forwards or on the bench coming off that, but he was their best player in Jersey Flegg for the Knights. They've let go a few middle forwards there, shopping around Leo Thompson as well. So could be a bit of a smoky. He'll get a bit of a start in the trials and we'll see how he goes. But yeah, he's just a guy that they've got wrapped up. He's actually got the longest term deal at the club at the moment. He's wrapped up for the longest at the Knights there. So we'll see how he goes. Moving on to our second row. Look, I always like having one gun in my second row, and I've gone a little bit left field with this one this year so far. I'm pretty set on him. He's been in my team, and I haven't mixed around and stuffed about and tried to get him out at all. So the second row, my gun second row I'll be starting with will be Isaiah Yeo for the meantime, I believe. 727k. I've gone for consistency. I have got an array of centre wings, fullbacks that are a bit up and down. I'm a bit unsure. There's a fair few injured prone players that I'm picking this year, so I just want a guy that can churn out games in and out every week that I've got a bit of reliance on as a bit of a more of expensive player. Yo finished the year as the highest point scorer for any 2RF in the game, even with the Origin duties as well put in. So I'm not worried about Origin. I think the departure of Fisher Harris will be huge for him. I think his work rate will go up. His workload will go up. Fingers crossed he won't play too much of a dominant ball playing lock. He'll try and eat some meters up and do the big hard yards a bit more than what he does. He does a bit of flashy stuff where he sends the ball out to Nathan Cleary. Hopefully he can just get those base stats up, just do run after run after run, take up what Fisher Harris would have taken up. So ended last year with a 74-point average out of the 22 games he played. Only went under 60 points 3 times in 22 games with a lower score of 49. So even on his worst day, he's pretty much getting you 50, and they're few and far between. So Mr. Reliability, I'll take him. Tommy Gilbert, 462k. He is coming off a horror run of injury in the last 2 years. Not 100% certain that he will be fully fit for round 1. He'll be a wait and see, but at 462k, I think you need to put him in there. 59-point average from 2023. 2024, he didn't play a single game. So if he can get back to 59-point average, I think we're laughing with Tommy Gilbert. Corey Horsburgh, 355k, dual 2RF front row forward. So I'm trying to incorporate a bit of that with Tino up there in the forwards. In the front row forward, sorry. I've got Big Red hoping that he can land that front row starting spot towards the back end of last year. He sort of got recalled from reserve grade after his little incidents with the fisticuffs that he had there in the Rezzies. Look, we could dare to dream that he gets that second row spot taken away from Elliot Whitehead there after his departure. But look, I probably have him starting at front row forward. He had a 53-point average in the 2 games that he was playing over 50 minutes. Look, I think Big Red, he's done it before. He's a proven second row forward when he does get the minutes. So him in that spot with a 53-point average on the last year, I think he's a decent bet. Norfolk White at 367k. Another duel, which ups his value. He's there at the Chookies. The big thing will be the departures of Hargraves, Terrell May, Satili Tupanua there for the Chooks. Look, I'm not 100% certain that he does get the big minutes. They've got Egan Butcher and Sua Wong in the mix as well. But look, I'm daring to dream that Nafua White gets big minutes because he has had some decent games there. It was a few times last year they trusted him with the bigger minutes. So fingers crossed they can get them to him on a regular basis, and that'll be good. He had 7 games over 35 minutes last year for an average of 46 points. So if he can get 46-point average on us, he's an uptick. Could go even higher. So fingers crossed he gets that spot. Joshy Schuster, 265k, comes over from the Sea Eagles to the Rabbitohs, gets under the guidance of Mr. Wayne Bennett. Look, I wasn't keen on Josh Schuster. I didn't really see a spot where he would get into the top 17, but Ewan Aitken has re-aggravated that pec injury, set to be out for the first month. So, look, I think he's a decent chance of getting in the starting 17. I don't know if he's going to get that starting back row position, he'll just be a wait and see. He's already picked up a calf injury in the preseason. So, again, we'll watch for him. He's averaged 60 points per game in a Supercoach season there at second row forward. So, hopefully he gets the biscuits there. Tyrone Thompson, brother of Leo Thompson there at the Knights, 198k, bottom dollar. I think there is a serious lack of chat around this bloke, and I think it's a little bit crazy. The Knights are super skinny in their middle forwards. They've lost Daniel Safidi. They're going to lose Leo at the season end. Apart from Jacob Safidi, they're very, very skinny there in the middle. They've got Hetherington there on the bench, Croker there to come on, but again, they just really lack a bit of dynamic superstar. Not saying that he will be a superstar, but a bit more punch coming off the bench there. 22 appearances for the Chiefs in the Super Rugby and featured in the Maori All Blacks on 3 occasions. So he's no slouch. He's played professional rugby union. He's played in the Maori All Blacks, which is a very competitive side over there for the rugby union. I've watched his highlights. Look, I know highlights can be perceived as different things, but the thing that stood out for me is he's very dangerous at the line. They use a bit of ruck and maul and that sort of stuff in the union. I don't know a great deal about the game, but he seemed to be the go-to guy for the crash play. Whether they can implement that into his game in rugby league and if he can stand up to the fitness of rugby league, apart from union, he could be a chance. But at 198k and the lack of forwards that the Knights have, I think he's a decent option. Moving down to halfback. Halfback this year will be the first year where I do not start with 2 superstar halfbacks. Every year I've just banged in Nathan Cleary, Nico Hines, easy, done, set and forget. This year I'm going off Hines. Had him towards the end of the back end of last year, confidence was shot. He was playing pretty ordinary football. Everyone's noted Braden Trindle has come into that squad and he's named the number 7 his own, and he's become the dominant ball player there. So I'm leaving out Nicho Hynes, even though I think he is, if he gets back to his best and he's priced at what he's priced at, he's decently priced. But anyway, we've gone Nathan Cleary at $811K to come into the squad. He'll be my starting halfback there. Comes at a discount from last year of more than $100,000. So if you like Nathan Cleary last year, nothing's really changed. There's a bit of disruption with his injury on his shoulder. Had an injury-disrupted season last year. So, look, I think he'll be in everyone's side pretty much. He's a clear number 1 at halfback. 30% of his games last year were 100-plus games, so that's massive in that position. The departure of Luai, he's going to have a new half partner with Blaise Talangi there. I think he's going to get more ball, more dominant ball in good ball area. How many times can you say ball? I think he just gets a little bit more opportunity with Luai out. Not that Luai was a very dominant player, but he's got now Blaise Talangi, who isn't a dominant ball player. Also, Mitch Kenny is a big one there. He is just a shovel-on, set and forget out the back sort of hooker. So I don't think he's going to have much competition with wanting the ball when he wants the ball. Look, the injury cloud around him will be, is he right for round 1 with that shoulder injury? He's off to Vegas, so a bit of a hard run to start the year, but fingers crossed he can stay fit. One thing to talk about with the Panthers is they don't have any games at Bluebet this year. They'll be playing out of CommBank and pretty much playing away whenever they can. They're taking a home game to Vegas, home game to Magic Round, and they're taking a heap of home games out into the country. But it's the Penrith Panthers. I don't think it'll change too much for them. My backup halfback will be Lewis Dodd by the looks of it at the moment. $336K. Comes over from England, is on a huge $700,000 a year contract. So he's there at the Rabbitohs. Haven't seen a lot of stuff from him. It looks like he's got a decent running game, although most of the highlights and people that I've talked to, there seems to be last year was a bit of a down year for him, and they're surprised that he got picked up by the Rabbits. But he's an international player. He could be anything there at the Rabbits. He does have a lot of mouths to contend with to get a lot of ball there. There's Walker and Latrell there, along with the likes of Whiten. But yeah, I think at $336K, you get an international halfback. I'll take the risk there. 5'8", Cam Munster, $609K. Coming off an injury-riddled season last year. Double hip surgery in the off-season, so we're not even sure that he's going to be running around the start of the year. Reports are he'll be up and running around early Feb, so fingers crossed he can get some miles in the legs and we can see a little bit of him in the trials. There is every chance he gets rested in round 1 with having the bye in round 2. So if he's not right for round 1 and 2, I'll obviously look at some changes there, but getting Cam Munster at 600 is a steal. It's the cheapest he's been in 6 years. Of the 14 games he did play last year, 5 of those games he didn't make the full 80 minutes due to restings or injuries, regardless of what he was. But yeah, so that's jammed his price down as well. Again, the double hip surgery is a little bit concerning, but we'll be able to get a bit of a look in the trials and see how he's going through there. Luke Metcalf at $443K. Again, another one of these players, like I was talking about, injury-affected year last year. That is where the value is, that though. So we do need to consider these guys. Look, only got the 7 games for the Warriors. Out of those 7 games, there was 1 game where he only got the 10 minutes, so we'll probably ignore that one. So the 6 games, he averaged 58 points a game. Look, he's underpriced if that's the average that we're going off. Should get the goal kicking now that Sean Johnson is retired, and more predominantly, he should get a bit more ball out on that left-hand edge now that Sean Johnson is no longer there. I can't see whether it be Tamare Martin, which I presume will be the starting halfback there, will demand as much ball as what Sean Johnson. So Luke Metcalf could get a fair bit more ball. I'm not 100% certain on how the Warriors are going to go this year. I think James Fisher-Harris is going to be a good addition there. If they can keep fit, they'll be in the hunt. But yeah, Luke Metcalf, $443K, had a couple of really good games last year. So I think at that price, he's got a lot of upside and he's a pretty safe bet. Centre wings. Centre wings this year, I sort of made the mistake last year of doing what I usually do, and I usually go really cheap in my centre wings. Ever since that, I think the first 3 rounds I started off, I was still 20,000th or something crazy like that. I'll bring it up here. So yeah, the first 3 rounds I was 45,000th, 51,000th, sorry, 21,000th, and then finally jumped into the top 10K at round 5. So round 7, I was still 8,800. So I was still well back in the pack at the start. And I feel as though my start was ordinary because my centre wings were very, very cheap, very light on. I'd spent a lot of money in other places, and I had to boost my way out of that to get some cavalry in the centre wings. So this year, we're sort of going to spend a lot more money in the centre wings for us. With that, our number 1 CTW will be Jacob Carraz, I think. 702K, finished last year with 7 100-plus point games. Interesting part about him is he had an average of 72, but a lot of games where he played in the centres, he averaged a hell of a lot less. The games where he was playing on the wings, he averaged over 80 points a game, so that's massive for him. Dogs have a great start of the season. They've got games against the Dragons, Titans, Eels, Sharks, and Knights. So I know everyone harps on about how defence is very at the mind front of every team at the start of the year, but still, I think with that sort of matchup and his base, he could start the year very, very well. I'd pick Jacob Carraz as my number 1 CTW. Just a lot of uncertainty around Lomax and Val Holmes going to different clubs. Lomax to the Eels, Val to the Dragons. I still do like them because I think they will have the kicking duties. I think Lomax will get the kicking duties over Mitchy Moses there. But yeah, I just want to see how that all plays out. They may be a little bit overpriced. I think they'll be guns throughout the year, but Jacob Carraz, his position and his role in the club won't be any different. I've also picked up what I believe is another gun, is Ruben Garrick at 680k. Haven't seen him in a lot of teams floating around, but I think he's underrated. The Seagulls have a great draw the opening month. They have Cowboys, Warriors, Raiders, and Eels. 3 out of those 4 are at home, and 5 out of the first 7 are at home for the Manly Seagulls. So they get a fair run there at 4 Pines. I think there's a heap of points on offer there. A lot of people are sort of getting off him. That sounded a bit dirty, but a lot of people aren't that keen on him because he had a lot more games at centre. Well, he's there in the centres now. He won't be a winger. He'll be a centre forever now, I believe. Had a lot of injury-affected games, HIA-affected games, which ruled him out. He had a couple there where he was gone in the first 10 minutes. So that's brought his average down. That's brought his price down. I think if you're getting Ruben Garrick at 680k, I do like to have a goal kicker there. The fact that he is 680k, I'm sort of not expecting him to be a world beater. If he can punch out the odd game where he scores 100 and he gets his average around that 70 mark, I'll be stoked with it. He still punched out 8 90-plus games with turbo firing as well is a massive thing. If he's got him out the back, he could score 20 to 30 points in goal kickings on occasions. So starts the cheapest he started in 4 years, so I think he's a bit of a bargain there. Next one there is Campbell Graham at 505,000. Missed the entire 2024 season with the sternum injury. Had a breakout year with the Rabbitohs in 2023. He's a huge discount of $200,000, what he would have started last year for 2024. He's picked in nearly every single side that I've seen so far, and I think it's fair enough. There's a lot of guys running around, the injury concerns. With Campbell Graham, it's not as big an injury concern as what an ACL is, what a lower leg injury is. Reoccurrence of the sternum being cracked and fractured again is, I think it's a lot lower than re-aggravating a hamstring or an ACL. So I think once he gets the contact back in the legs, he'll be better for the run. He'll be better for the trials. I think at 505k, he's a decent buy. Next one here, I'm taking a bit of a punt. Casey McLean, 443k. Taking away the game he only played 50 minutes in, he had 6 appearances last year for an average of 55 points for the Panthers. So immediately he's at a discount. I think no doubt he'll get the wing spot there at Penrith that's been taken away from Taruva there, who's going to the Tigers. I think he solidified that he's going to be the winger there for his 4-try right against PNG in the Pacific Championships there at the end of the year for the Kiwis. Look, he looks a future star. He's got a great work rate, great work ethic, as all these young outside backs from the Panthers seem to have. No buy until round 11 for Penrith as well. So, look, he could generate us a lot of cash. could potentially be a keeper there if he does get that left-hand edge spot for the Panthers. Carter Gordon, 336k there for the Titans. 6'2", 95 kilos, coming over from the rugby union. He played 46 games for the Melbourne Rebels and 8 games for the Wallabies. This bloke is an out-and-out star. Super excited to see him when he got transferred over to the NRL last year up there at the Gold Coast. Did get a couple of games in the QRL Cup. At the end of last year, he had 4 appearances for the Tweed Seagulls in the Host Plus Cup up there. In those 4 games, he had 4 tries, 3 try assists, 4 line breaks, averaged 100 metres ran for average 2 tackle busts a game. He also kicks goals. Stop it. If he can jag a 5'8" spot, or he can play 5'8" or centre, if he jags one of those spots, I'll be picking him up straight away. The round 1 bye may put a bit of a spanner in the works, but I'm hoping through the trials we get a bit of an idea of exactly where Carter Gordon ends up. Billy Smith, 317k, the unluckiest man in rugby league, is finally fit, and I think there's more than an opportunity there that he grabs one of the outside back positions. The departures of Joey Suoli and Joey Manu in that back line, I think if he's injury-free, he'll be a walk-up start to a centre position there. 2023, played 14 games, which isn't a lot. It's the most he's ever played in a season, but he did average 54 points in those games. So fingers crossed if he can get up around that 50 sort of mark, we'll be laughing with Billy Smith. Robert Toya, I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that one. Sorry if I've butchered that, but 198k, bottom dollar cheapie, in the frame for a starting spot along with Billy Smith, like I said. Mass exit at the Roosters up there. So he is under 19 Queensland Maroons representative, crippled by an ACL injury last year. Talked up by James Tedesco as the one to watch. Despite all his injuries, the Roosters have granted him another 2-year extension on his contract, so they obviously think the world of him. Highly touted 20-year-old, still super young. Look, I think, he if not, he's a place getter, and I'll transfer him over to another bottom dollar player that comes along. Bit concerning having a few ACL injuries, like I said, but again, that's where the value is, and that's where the opportunities are. Fullback spot, I am running Mr. Tom Trbojevic. 875k, fit and firing. He picks himself. He is an out-and-out supercoach gun. Again, another year affected by injury last year, but caught my eye in the Pacific Championships playing for Australia, where he looked back to 100%. Got through unscathed. Looked like he was really opening up. A couple of runaway tries there, so looked really good. Hopefully he'll make it into this year, fit and firing. Look, he's the go-to man for the Sea Eagles. Any time you can get a fullback who's the go-to man, the main man for the points, is, I think, a must-have. 5 out of his 7 games last year, the last 7 games he played, he scored 100 plus. Yeah, finished the year at nearly $1 million, so 875k. You're nearly getting a bloody discount on him. Good draw at the start of the season. 5 out of the 7 games at home are against decent matches, apart from the Storm, but again, that's at 4 Pines. So 5 out of 7 home games for the Sea Eagles. That's why I've matched Tom Trbojevic and Ruben Garrick. I'm expecting Tom Trbojevic to go ballistic and Ruben Garrick to slot a shitload of field goals, conversion goals. Look, for me, backup fullback, I've got Isaiah Yongi at 232k, all but bottom dollar cheapie. Started for 1 game for Penrith last year. Moves to the Eels there for Clint Gufferson, who was off to the Dragons. Yeah, like I said, only the 1 NRL game last year against the Knights. Look, it was a stellar game as far as debuts go. Round 22 last year, he got there for the Knights, 240 metres ran, 8 tackle busts, and got through a mountain of work. He was New South Wales Cup fullback of the year there for Penrith. Look, I didn't really have him in my side. The initial build-up of my side didn't actually have him in it. I was looking at going the 3-gun fullback rotation, but having him in there has allowed my team to have a bit more depth in my CTWs, a bit more depth in my front row forwards, and being able to get 2 good halves in. So I was looking at trying to get Turbo and Latrell in there, but just didn't work out. Putting Isaiah Yongi in there seems to have just solidified and made my team a little bit more well-balanced. I think with the flexi this year, The end goal last year was to have 17 guns. I think this year it's going to be to have 18 guns. So I'm trying to get a bit more depth in my side this year than what I usually would. Also, if you are looking to put Isaiah Yongi in there, in your side, don't run 2 gun fullbacks in your fullback spot. Make sure Isaiah Yongi is in the reserve fullback position. That way, with your 2 fullbacks, you can run a vice captain and captain opportunity. You can do the VC loop. You've never been able to do it before, but this year you'll be able to have your chance at vice captaining and captaining 2 gun fullbacks. So that's a massive thing. I presume everyone will have their flexi as a fullback. I don't see a world where it won't be. I don't think any other position has ever been more stacked and more of a headache for everyone. If we can run this out, it'll be awesome. The other thing with Isaiah Yongi is being 232k. I always get a little bit nervous about cheapies being in my fullback spot. Very hard to get another cheapie in, and then very hard to buy a gun in with a guy of 232k. If he gets injured in his second game, you'll be moving shit uphill to try and get someone in there to replace him that's of decent value. So I'm not saying it's perfect to have him in there, but he's in there at the moment. All right, in my flexi position, I'm running with Kalen Ponga, 719k. In 15 games last year, he had 5 games that went over 100 plus, another 2 games in the 90s. So basically last year, he had a 50-50 chance of him going 90 plus. He is literally the only attacking weapon that the Knights have. And like I said with Tommy Turbo, he is literally the main guy that they go to when they are chasing points. I think Ponga is the exact same, if not more relied on at the Knights there. So draw's really handy for him. They have the Tigers, Dolphins, Titans, then into a round 4 bye. So good start. They played relatively easy oppositions all the way up until round 12, with the exception of when they away there to the Panthers. So good draw. He'll be goal kicking. Seen a couple of things in the pre-season there. He's looking fit. So fingers crossed he is in for a big year. I think he'll be gunning for that Origin jersey with Reece Walsh. So that'll be a good bit of healthy competition. Just love the fact that I can have him and Turbo as my VC and captain throughout the year. So Latrell was in the talks, but I just think Kalen Ponga may be a little bit more value there and a bit of an easier draw. That's about it. That's all we've got time for. That is the team. Look, hopefully that gives you a bit of insight of where my head's at and what we're thinking. I'm sure throughout the year and throughout the preseason, we'll do a lot more on this. So again, we'll put something up on our Instagram. We'll start doing a couple of player profiles there. So if you are interested, please go over to our Instagram, give us a follow, and do not forget Jack from Do We Get a Bag, mate. You have a bit of a parcel coming your way. Get onto us, give us the details there, mate, and we'll get on to you. Thanks, legends. Take care.